Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Focus TV. We got Octavia Wyatt, Cardell Dudley, Wilson Tarpey Jr., and there is so much to talk about. While you're at it, go ahead and give us a follow on social media, the Focus TV. Also, give a follow to finestmag.com and mymamasports.com. On Twitter and IG, it's literally finestmag, My Mama Sports. It's just that simple. And, of course, the Focus TV. So, a lot has happened, unless you've been under a rock. It was a busy weekend last weekend, period, both in sports and outside of it. But we're going to get started with the NFL draft. Oh, so much has happened. Depending on, what team you root for, you had a good weekend and you had a horrible weekend. And those of you that had a horrible weekend, you're kind of in denial about it, Giants fans. So we're going to get started with you guys. Want to know how you feel after, shout out to my man Dave Gettleman, ruining a team, ruining a franchise, one player at a time.
Were we surprised?
No.
We were not.
Let's go, Octavia. What do you think about the Giants and their new quarterback that they took in the first round?
Well, I knew they needed one. But it does seem like, if I was in charge of the Giants and I owned the Giants, this is going to be the test for GM, head coach. Like, okay, is he going to be the one or is he not? They had to have seen something that they like, but with their track record, it's not too much faith behind it, in my opinion. But I applaud them for taking the leap. They did some other okay things in the draft as well. They drafted 10 players. Of course, their first round pick with the sixth pick in the first round. Daniel Jones as the quarterback from Duke. I think they got a good tight end. Defensive tackle, excuse me. But I still think it's going to be a whole building. All of these players, to me, are going to be projects to see how they pan out with them. It's hard to kind of go off of what they're really trying to do.
Trying to say you don't feel like the Giants have a plan?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm sure they have a plan in their mind. I just don't see it yet.
Okay, so I had a quick question for y'all. What did y'all think about Gettleman's comments? Pretty much something to the fact that they took the young man at 6 and they don't mind him sitting for up to 3 years.
Honestly, that's just them buying Eli more time. That's still a couple more years.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just keep it a buck. I know the guy that they drafted was stamped by the Manning family. So it's a weird coincidence that they got him. And if you look at draft night, Haskins, he verbatim, he was right with him. He was like, with the such pick, he said the name. He knew, the public may be fooled, but no one's fooled, man. The Manning's name hold weight,
Definitely. Especially
with quarterbacks. So,
definitely.
I think that's what it is, man. They trying to, he been in all their camps and everything. I think that's just about Eli more time, and also I don't think they anticipate this guy being a threat to Eli. And then, let's say Eli stinks it up or he gets hurt, this guy comes in, he don't perform well, then it's like, Eli, you're the savior. Whereas Hassan come in, that might be it.
That is a great point.
So it's always a little agenda with all these moves, man, that you gotta look at. So, come on now. It's not a coincidence, man. Sometimes you gotta look behind the curtain a little bit.
Like, do we really feel like Eli's gonna make it 3 years?
Hey, man, that's their problem. That's their decision. I wish them the best with that.
I don't think he's gonna make it 3 years.
Behind that line, I don't think so either.
No, I don't think he's barely making it now.
All right, on to another team in y'all's wonderful division. The Cowboys didn't have a first-round pick. It essentially was one 24-year-old wide receiver named Amari Cooper, who they have. They just got to give him some money to keep him, so I'm not really mad at that. How do you feel about what they did in the rest of the draft? Because I was talking to my cousin earlier. He's a big Cowboys fan, and he's not happy.
It wasn't a horrible draft, but it wasn't a great draft. I think it was a mediocre draft. I don't really think they got too many players that they feel are going to be impactful this upcoming season. I think they got a lot of projects as well that they're going to be working with over the next 2-3 years to see how they pan out. Maybe they're just content with what they have now. already on the team, and they just want to see how these players are going to stack up with their, their current roster and see if they can fit them in somewhere. But I definitely think it's going to be a project for them as well. But I think they're just resting on the fact that they feel like they're good in the NFC East right now. I just think that's their opinion. Yeah, I just don't see any of the players right now being impactful like right out the gate.
All right, so piggyback off of that, as a fan of the team in the division,
Mm-hmm.
does their draft okay? So my cousin kind of felt like that too. He was kind of like, we didn't get any game changers. You just literally echoed the same thing. You don't feel like they got any impact players, in terms of day one where they can come right in and do anything. As an Eagle fan, if they're under the premise that the Cowboys feel they're good enough as is that fine with you guys?
It's fine with me. Don't get me wrong. I think they did have a good season last year, and I think that things are starting to fall into place for them. And I think that's why they're kind of like, okay, let's not mess with what we got right now. Let's kind of try to see, if what we got, we can continue to move forward with that. And then maybe some of these players, learn from some of the players that they already have and could possibly, step up if something goes wrong this year. Maybe. I don't see that happening at this point. But as an Eagles fan, I'm not worried because it's the same. It's going to be essentially the same team you saw last year. But at the same time, I'm sure the Cowboys are good with that. They feel, they had that big run at the end of the season into the playoffs and everything. But we got tape now. We know what you're going to do. We can figure it out, hopefully. And I'm not worried as an Eagle fan. I'm just worried just based off of it's the NFC East and anything can happen type thing.
Right, but you don't feel like the Cowboys came out like, hey, I gotta keep an eye on them at all.
No.
Okay, so for your team, how do you feel? Because we talking about what you felt. We all talk about what our respective teams we felt they needed. A couple weeks ago. I felt like your team kind of answered what your wish list, or how do you feel about it?
I think they did. I think they did mostly what I thought they would do. I didn't know how forceful they wanted to be with trying to find a replacement for Jason Peters, but you can see that they're very invested in that, and I completely understand why, just because, like I said, Jason Peters is, great. He's going to be retired, probably Eagles and everything, all those accolades that he'll probably get after he retires, but they see the end of the road coming with him, and they know that they got to get somebody that's going to be as dominant or impactful of a player as he was at that position, because over the past couple of seasons we've seen how it's been when he's been out. It's been tough on that side of the line for people to protect. So I understand why they went out and did it. I'm glad we got a running back.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. You were talking about how you don't like any of those people.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, so
hallelujah.
Do you feel about Mr. Miles Sanders?
I like Miles Sanders.
Okay.
I do like him. I always feel like that we get such small running backs. They never really get like a big brolic, run somebody over.
He 211 though. It's not like he's Sproles size.
That's what I mean. Like, he's not small, but I still think he's like a smaller running back. But he's definitely powerful, and I think it's going to be a good fit. I think he if he plays his cards right, he has a good camp. Like I said, I'm not too keen on Smallwood, but as of now, Howard's still projected as a starter. I still don't know what Ajayi is doing. I have no clue. And like I said, with Sproles coming towards the end of his career as well, I definitely feel like we needed to get a good running back. Even if we got to kind of help him along as the season goes on. I think he can come in and play this season, but. I just feel like we needed that position, and this is, like I said previously, the first time that they've drafted a running back in the first 3 rounds since 2009 when they drafted Shady. But I like him. I like the wide receiver they got. I'm already going to start butchering his name now, so I'm just calling him JJ, RCA or something. I think that's, RCA Whiteside. Okay. I like him. He's a big receiver. I think we have big receivers, not huge. Alshon's probably the biggest, but then you still got to worry about Zach. So I think it's a good pickup. I think for us to only have drafted 5 players, we did what we could. We got a quarterback. They drafted a quarterback. We'll see how that pan out. Maybe he passed by Sudfeld. I don't know. We will see as camp gets underway and everything. But all in all, I think it was a decent draft for us. Like I said, we gave up a lot of our picks in this draft anyway, which is why we only drafted 5 people. But I'm satisfied. I'm just really ready to see how it all falls together. And they exercised the option on Carson Wentz's 5th year, which was like a no-brainer. But I'm interested to see how it all works out.
All right, to the last team in your division, the Redskins. And this is weird talking about them, where it looks like I don't know who was in charge. Somebody did their job this year.
Yeah.
It looked like someone watched draft day a couple times.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Picked something up. And your thoughts as an Eagle fan before we all just share our thoughts on what they did.
As an Eagles fan, I hate it. I wanted them to do worse. I wanted them to draft nobody. As a fan of football and paying attention to things, I think they had a great draft. They didn't have to trade up to get Haskins. Fell right where they wanted him. And I knew that to me it was a logical decision for them. With Redskins, sometimes they don't do the logical things, but they, like you said, somebody paid attention this year to also grab Montez Sweat. Even though people were saying that he has a heart condition, and that's kind of why they think he fell as far as he did. But he did say that apparently he was misdiagnosed early. So if that's the case, that's a steal for them as well, to pick up that. They got another running back, which I feel like they're a little heavier running back, just a little bit. If Geis comes back well, Adrian Peterson's still there. They still got Chris Thompson. And now they have Bryce Love, where he also is coming off of an injury. So they have a lot of running backs that are kind of injury prone at this point with ACL injuries. So hopefully he can make it through a season if they need him to, because the rest of them have had, some injury-ridden seasons. But they drafted 10 people as well. To me, those are my top 2. I like Haskins and Sweat. I feel like we'll see how the Redskins can work everybody else in. They got some wide receivers. I think they really need to focus on that, because I really don't feel like I don't know who their number 1 wide receiver is at this point. So if this Kelvin Harmon, who was drafted in the 6th round, could be a steal for them, come out of nowhere, work hard, he could possibly move his way up, because you've seen a lot of Redskin players do that at that position, coming from practice squads and coming in and being able to help produce. So if they can get that out of him, Terry McLaurin as well, from Ohio State, who they took in the 3rd round, maybe one of those could, step up, because I'm really thinking, and I can't name who their wide receiver is right now.
All right, Cardell, your thoughts on the Redskins draft just from afar?
I think they had one of the best drafts in a while. Straight up. Getting Haskins. I'm biased. I root for black quarterbacks because of the history.
Amen.
I root for all of them to succeed, to change the narrative. How they nitpick him, even Kyler Murray going number 1, they nitpick him and stuff. So, I'm rooting for him. Obviously, him being the area guy. He's not gonna. Me and my friends got a saying, everybody can't handle the Metro. DC it's a different animal, especially when you're a pro athlete. You get caught up in that nightlife and stuff like that. That's an underrated thing that takes a lot of dudes out, take their focus off what they need to be doing on the field, the court, ice, all that. So he won't be fazed by that. And I think having that hometown pressure on him is either gonna make him break him. You know what I'm saying? I think he's the type of dude where it's gonna make him. So, with the uncertainty with Alex Smith, and then you looking at, what's my man? Colt that just, had, another leg procedure and whatnot. The opportunity's there for him to jump right in and go to work and stuff like that. And I know they may not have, name guys, quote unquote, name wide receivers, but, as accurate as he is, he can make them names. Sometimes you just got to make the guys around you better. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that, man.
Yeah, I loved it. Obviously, I think we all know how much. I think we all love Dwayne, what he brings to the table. Mm-hmm. Montez Sweat was one of my short list of draft crushes. He's just a freak. As an Eagles fan, you were used to this it was like Kerrigan and Preston Smith rush the passer like one speed.
Mm-hmm.
Montez moves at a different frequency.
Mm-hmm.
You have one of those pass rushers over in Denver where they move a little different, where you can't quite catch up to the way they move. And I'm not saying that before anybody gets crazy that Montez is anything like Vaughn. Just simply saying that dudes that are on a little different frequency athletically sometimes and understand how to use it, it causes trouble for offensive tackles. Your 6'6" can convert speed to power. One of the things I love, they got one of Haskins' guys from Ohio State as wide receiver. Like, I think that's huge for a rookie quarterback. You went and got, it's comfort.
Yeah.
It's just comfort. He knows where he's going to be at all times, even though, yeah, it's a new playbook or whatnot. That's great. I love that they got depth. They have a hole at guard. Somebody's going to get a chance between Wes Martin and the kid from Alabama to make the team. I like Calvin Horman. Like, with the wide receivers this year, I would just simply say don't look at the round they were drafted, because this is one of the years where they're really talented guys, but they're not polished. In past years, you know exactly what you're getting when the prospects enter the draft at wide receiver. This is one of those years where if your coaching staff understands, you know, if they do their homework, you know, everybody picks their guy. If your staff's not smart enough to do their homework and doesn't understand what somebody brings to the table, you know, you're going to look kind of crazy in terms of, I think it's going to be one of those years where all the people who didn't take wide receivers are going to look back and be like, I mean, he was a 5th round guy. I mean, he went in the 6th round, so I thought he fell for a reason. Nah, just y'all don't know what y'all doing. I think that's just what it is. But Cardell, you liked your team's draft as a whole?
Yeah. No, Elway did some things. You know, I definitely like Font. One underrated thing about Flacco, when he had success in Baltimore, he had a nasty tight end. You know what I'm saying? You know, like Owen Daniels and Dennis Peter. And we haven't had one since Julius Thomas. They let him go, you know, which I was pissed about. And that kind of was the beginning of the end, you know, the Super Bowl run. So having, you know, if Font lives up to what he can be, then, you know, especially with his speed, just running down the middle, you know, Emmanuel Sanders, all them, they're going to eat. You know what I'm saying? We got the running back, you know, we ready to go. So, you know, it's just a matter of them just getting that chemistry right. And, you know, and Flacco just staying upright. That's another thing, making sure he's not hurt. You know, I definitely like what we did. And obviously showing up the, you know, the defense a little bit more, you know, that, you know, help on in that front 4. So, depending on what the new coach does, front 4, front 3, whatever. So, you know, I'm excited, but like you know, we all know, man, you gotta get to work and see how it goes on the field. You know.
Oh, y'all got my guy Vic, right? Fangio's the head coach.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all niggas about to be on some other stuff.
Yeah. So, but you know, thought we would be on some other stuff before.
Man, Vic got a whole Vaughn now.
Look, man. Listen, man.
I'm just saying. So, just real quick, y'all do know what Vic does when he has special people, right?
Yes, we know, but
like,
it ain't just him. I'm like, I defensively, I know I gotta see what he do offensively.
Oh yeah, I'm not. Yeah, offensively, I'm with you.
So,
I'm just talking about defensively. Y'all gonna be around this period. Vaughn gonna enjoy this. Like, everybody's gonna come.
They should have let him lose before. I mean, I don't know why they kind of put him in the box, man. The advantage, that's when advantage 3-4 switching up. If it ain't broke, why fix it, man? Just sometimes you just gotta come in and be like, that's straight. Let me focus on this over here. It's just
that's why
simple.
you know what, you gonna love Vic, because he's one of those dudes where he's gonna let you do what you're good at. You're not gonna make it complicated. Hey, look, we're gonna line up like you remember how it used to be for y'all. Line up, we cover, go get them.
The best coaches usually do that.
Make it real simple.
The average coaches usually try to control everything. That's what happens. Exactly.
Hey, but
your team?
Yeah, we took Bosa, took Maga Bosa. Yeah. I like Deebo Samuel. I like Jalen Hurd. That made me happy. Just because it's 2 different type of weapons. And Kyle's the type of guy where, you know, you can find a way to use people like that. Jalen Hurd's a former running back, ended up growing a little bit. Went from a big running back in Tennessee, ended up at Baylor. He's 6'5", 226. He's a football player. Love that type of stuff. Looking forward to see what they can do. I know a lot of people are mad that, you know, the Niners didn't go secondary or whatever. But, you know, Cardell, you know, if your front 7 get after the passer, the people at the back don't have to do as much. So, you know, the emphasis was put on the people up front. Mm-hmm. And, you know, then you can judge that accordingly after you got them dogs up front. Exactly. But we're going to take a quick break. We got a lot to discuss, even a new segment coming up tonight.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk some NBA playoffs. We're taking a quick break. You're watching the Focus TV. Welcome back to the Focus TV. As promised, the NBA playoffs. We are now in the second round. We know about referee gate and one of them series, man. Y'all doing too much. But we're going to talk about how we got to this point. In the first round, the Bucks swept the Pistons. Toronto beat the Magic 4-1. Philly 4-1 over Brooklyn. Boston took out the brooms on the Pacers. Golden State in 6 over the Clippers. Shout out to the Clippers. Denver beat the Spurs in 7. It took 7 games. But the Young Nuggets definitely got out the first round. Portland 4-1 over the Thunder, and the Rockets 4-1 over the Jazz. The first series we're going to talk about tonight is Milwaukee and Boston. The Celtics are up 1-0. You know, they're starting the playoffs. They're 5-0 to start the playoffs. Boston is, and Game 2 is tonight. It's literally on right now.
Yep.
But you guys thought so far, you know, just a couple nuggets that have jumped out at you, you know, after one game in the series and what to keep an eye on going forward.
Nothing really shocking. I know everybody making a big deal out of Giannis' struggles or whatnot, but that's what they were going to do. They're going to wall up, make sure he don't get easy points in the paint, and force him to have to, you know, switch to southpaw, what I call it. You know, he's going to have to switch. He's not going to be able to do the thing he wants to do. He's going to adjust. That's what the playoff basketball is all about, and that's what I love. You know, that's why I love the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? But the bottom line is, you know, he didn't get much help. Eric Bledsoe got destroyed by Kyrie. Not even just the near triple-double Kyrie had with 26, 11, and 7 and all that. Garno, he got destroyed because of the poor decision-making he made. It was just like he that third quarter run after Milwaukee fought to get it close at halftime, that third quarter run just deflated him. And a lot of that had to do with the point guard play, with his decision-making. He was just basically gift-wrapping the ball to them guys. And it was just like, what is wrong with you? And that's the thing about him, like, can he stay poised and mentally focused to battle through these type of moments? And so far in the playoffs through his career, the answer has been no. And he has to redeem himself. It's not, sometimes as a great player for you, and you know, obviously Giannis is limited because basically if he's not hitting jumpers, he has to dunk everything. And that's why they say he has to get a jumper. But if your guys are shooting, it will open things up for him. If, you know, Chris Middleton, you're an all-star, you got to perform. I know they missed Malcolm Brogdon, but they got other veterans, Miritic, Brook Lopez. And when he come here, he seemed to love. He looking like Reggie Miller out there hitting all the threes. But you know where you at, you know, stuff like that. But that's just one end of the ball. You know, the Celtics dominated them in every way. They won a rebounding battle, 51-44, assist battle, 25-19, and they had 11 blocks to Milwaukee's 2. And the field goal percentage, they strapped them up. Boston shot 54% from the field. Milwaukee shot 34%. You're not going to win any playoff games like that. And, you know, so honestly, all around, everybody has to play better. One thing I think will help Giannis, take him off the ball where he's not so predictable. Make the defense have to locate him. You see what I'm saying? Set backdoor screens to get him easy lobs and stuff to get the energy going and get guys in rhythm or whatever. And have him move more without the ball, where he's catching it in a prime position where he can just go to work, kind of like what Golden State did with KD. KD kind of, you know, and KD's a world-class scorer, and he struggled when he was just bringing the ball up the court, and Patrick Beverly was able to get up on him. Then they switched it up, you know what I'm saying, made the defense have to find him. When they found him, it was too late. He's already raising up for the jumper, and they got him in rhythm, and he's been on the tear ever since. You know, sometimes you just got to do that, and, you know, we're going to see that right now if that's what's going on, so we're going to see it tonight if they adjust.
Octavia, you had anything to add with that series?
I mean, everything Cardell said, although, like you said, I think a lot of people are overreacting to how Giannis played in Game 1. I do think that the Celtics really game planned for it, and you can tell that they really went out there to execute that, because you could see how locked in they were, like, we have to stop him. And when those type of things happen, like you said, everybody else has to step up. I do think Eric Bledsoe got destroyed by Kyrie as well. I think he has he's too much inside his mind. He really wants to perform well because he wants to, you know, get back at the naysayers that talked about his performance last year in the playoffs. So I think that's still in the back of his head, and I think sometimes he's trying too hard. He's trying too hard to perform well, to, you know, make the right pass instead of just playing in the flow of the game like he knows how. I think he's putting too much pressure on himself. If he plays well like he's been throughout the season, it should be the same thing. Yeah, you know, Middleton as well needed to step up, and I just think that, but I think the Celtics did a really good job of playing team defense against him because, they put different bodies on Giannis all night, whether it was, Baines or, Marcus Morris was in there, Al Horford, all of them, like they were trading in and out and they were really locked into trying to keep him from playing, getting the easy buckets. And I think they did a good job. So if they're able to continuously do that throughout the series is the big question. Are they going to be able to lock in and do that at least 4 games if it goes longer, 5, 6, 7? But I think it's going to be a tough series.
All right, so Golden State, Cardell, you started with the last series. I think we'll let you start with this one. Golden State in Houston, the Warriors up 1-0. Just like the first series we talked about, they also have game 2 of their series playing tonight. Just a couple thoughts from this series.
This is going to be an interesting series. This is going to be like a soap opera series. Because it's already started, you can tell. It's the same to me. I always feel like the mental part of the game is a big part that a lot of people don't think about. I remember before the game even started on Sunday, they had a interview with Chris Paul talking about everything they went through last year and how he felt like he was drunk throughout, emotionally drunk throughout the entire series because there was so much going on. I think they really want this so bad that sometimes it causes them to play outside of their character. And always looking across the court and seeing the defending champions and you're trying to beat them, and it's going to take a lot to actually get them out. I think they're in a good position to do it this year if they can actually do it, with the Warriors coming off of a 6-game series in the first round, Klay and Steph being game time decisions with their ankles. They got KD, that's a monster, so they're going to have to deal with that regardless. But if they are going to be able to get over the hump, this has got to be the time. They got to be able to press forward towards it. It's going to be a tough series. I'm very excited to see game 2 tonight. Hopefully we don't have all of the, like you said, referee gate go on again. But I will say these are probably 2 of the top teams that argue the most with the refs anyway. So I'm not going to be surprised if it happens again.
Cardell?
Stop crying. It's the playoffs. Get right to it. I just felt like the refs were setting the tone that all that baiting, all that little gimmick stuff, that stuff ain't gonna fly now. Y'all gotta play basketball, and you gotta adjust. It's just no different from any other level anybody else that's played basketball. Sometimes they call it tight, sometimes they call it loose. Some things they may call, some things they let you get away with. It's just basketball. You gotta adjust, and and all that acting like the Warriors, got the benefit of the call and all that. Man, look here, man. In the playoffs since 2015, the Rockets are 5-13 against Golden State. And so you've been getting beat pretty consistently. And that was with last year, y'all won 7 games. So it is what it is. To me, it came down to adjustment. The Warriors didn't shoot as many threes. They went to the mid-range led by KD. He only attempted 3 threes. He went 1 for 3 from 3. Most of his damage was done mid-range in. And Houston just stuck to their little analytic way of playing basketball, jacking threes. Houston, and look at it this way: Houston shot 24 for 29 from the free throw line. The Warriors shot 21 for 27. So you can't use the ref as an excuse when it's that even getting to the free throw line. But the problem wasn't that. The problem was 3-point shooting. The Rockets shot 14 for 47. Why in the hell are you shooting dang near 53s and you only making 14? Like, something should click. Like, we ain't hitting, we need to adjust. So you shot 29%, and that's what I feel like cost the Rockets the game. Golden State played smarter basketball, which they usually do. They shot 3-pointers within the flow of their offense. They ain't shoot well. They went 7 for 22, but they only shot 22. They shot over 20 less than, than what Houston did. And that's where Curry and Klay taking 15 between the 2 of them. So really the rest of the team played to their strength. We gonna do damage inside. And that's just, to me, what really won the game. And they frustrated, looking for an excuse and all that. And that just pretty much tells me they ain't built to win right now. Because when you built to win, you ain't making excuses. Especially at this stage, you just hooping. You know what I'm saying? So until they get to that point, I'm not trying to hit that. Like, Durant, he had 35 points. He only took 3 3-pointers. He attacked and shot more free throws than anybody, 12 for 15. Harden in comparison, he shot 13 for 14. You got nearly as much free throws, but you didn't attack as much as KD. So why are you blaming the refs once again? But you shot 9 for 28 from 3-point range. All right then. So the refs not gonna let you live with the BS.
And the part, I think that's the most frustrating part to me, like with James, with all this, you have the requisite skill to get to the basket anytime you want, and you choose to rely on baiting the refs, and you don't have to. That's the part that frustrates me the most.
Because it's taking
You
the
just
easy
don't
way
have-
out.
Yeah,
And you're
so-
putting too much in the ref's hands
But my whole thing is, it's veteran
instead
refs.
of yours.
Right.
They're not going to, like, they know you bait them, right? It's on tape. They're not about to sit out here and get got with that stuff.
Exactly, and they're not gonna let a series be decided by that. Because if that's the case, then
It's
you know
gonna be
now
the
some of them
World
were fouls. Like
Yeah.
it's real simple, man. Like I don't care about what the rule. The rule should always be if I'm racing up for a jump, if I'm going straight up, I have to have my landing space. If the defender impedes that gets in the way of that, that's a foul. It's simple. But if I'm shooting a jumper and the defender jumps and I stick my
Yeah,
legs out to
man.
get in his landing space, it's an offensive foul. So if you look at it in a lot of ways, the calls that weren't necessary fouls could have been offensive fouls, and James Harden could have been on the bench.
And instead they
So
were
you
just
can't
no
have it
calls.
one way. So now what you want?
I mean, but the other part to me is like you're talking about just being quite a hoop. Like on the other end, we've seen this since this iteration of the Warriors have been just been together, right? In the playoffs every year, every team roughs up Steph. Like this is public knowledge. This is what happened. I feel like all the Warriors did in essence was they put their hands on James Harden and he didn't like it. They essentially just kept hands on him
And which
as
is
much as possible, go ahead.
which is exactly why when we talk off wax, when they be trying to say, man, these guys are the most skilled and world class scorers we ever seen, I'm like, yo, chill. They're not facing the same resistance as these other world class scorers did. Like this little bit of physicality you see in the playoffs, this was the regular season back in the day. So I'm not trying to hear that. So if y'all are complaining about this in the playoffs, y'all had no chance back then. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not. Adjust, man. Adjust your game and stop being so soft, man. And like if you gonna bait the refs, legitimately try to get the call. Like not off them 3-point, drive hard, go in the lane, get hit,
And
take the
that's-
hit, go to free throw line.
And that's
Like
the
it's
part that's
simple.
so crazy is you would get the call if you just played basketball, but you're literally choosing to
Try to get the
Like-
call. Like
you. Yeah, it's literally you make a move to get the call and
instead
it's
of just
nothing
making
past
the
that.
move.
And the thing, and it's wild how people in the first round they made excuses for OKC lack of poise when they were going off, but they're making excuses for the Rockets now with their lack of poise.
It's been like this every year. You
So-
brought up that record 5-13. They're always up and down.
Exactly, and the Warriors just cooling, and I feel like how Draymond felt in the press. I ain't trying to hear none of that because you done fouled us, and we don't get the call. We just got, and even Chris Paul, man, and you know what I told you is I think he's frustrated
I
because
agree with you.
he can't do what he want to do no more, and he's smart enough to hide it, but the average fan not picking up on that. So like before, if he wasn't in jobbers, he can get to the lane. Like last year, he was getting to the lane, he was finishing all that. You haven't seen that through this. Yeah, you haven't seen that this much
a
this year.
hamstring.
So he's relying on, making mid range and 3-point shots. So if he's not doing that, and then the other guy's not hitting to get him when he's feeding him the ball, he's a vicious competitor. So he's gonna get frustrated. So he's taking it out on the rest, and it's just like, no, you got to switch your game. Or that's the beauty of playoff basketball.
And that's the part that and I respect the Rockets how they built the team and everything, but to take the analytical approach to the extreme, it's gonna cost you yet again.
Yes.
I just feel like it's gonna cost you again. You can literally watch the last 5 possessions of that game, and it was literally the example of basketball and numbers in basketball. Like when people just look at numbers and nothing else. We saw Eric Gordon get to the basket whenever he wants. James Harden get to the basket whenever you want. The way you guys are built, once you get your shoulder by someone, they will call a foul. They have to hit you. You guys are tanks coming downhill, right?
And that's another. I'm glad you brought up Eric Gordon. He had it going on. So why instead of taking 28 3-pointers, James, you don't find him?
And he was cooking. And if you take away his points, he was the only other that really did anything because you got nothing from Tucker, nothing from Capella.
Green. But here's the thing. This is why I'm saying basketball IQ. So if he got it going and I'm feeding him, naturally, they're going to probably put Clay or KD on him to try to slow him down. That frees you up, James Harden. That makes it easier on you because now you're going to have a guy like Steph or somebody like that go to work. It's just basketball, man. You can't always just. It's not about always how you come in, game plan, or how you want to play. It's like Lou Williams and Patrick Beverly said after they lost to the Warriors. He's like, look, we had 7 coverages for KD. I promise you we tried them. It didn't work. You know what I'm saying? So that's when you tip your hat off. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's like they got that one way. If it don't work.
And it's to their detriment. And it's so crazy. Think about this. Everyone talks about the Warriors and what they do from the 3-point line or whatever. You literally took, twice as many threes as the team who
does that.
Who has the people where if they shot 53s, like I'd probably be like, but then I think about the caliber of shooters they have.
I still be like,
No, I don't. Nah, look, I'm still gonna
especially
be like,
making like 29%. Like shit.
I don't think they make 29%, but that's what I'm saying. Like they have the caliber of shooters to do some outrageous stuff like that, and they're not doing it. They're not doing it. Why are you? But on to the next series. Cardell's pretty much you right here. It's all about Denver and Portland.
Mm-hmm.
Your man, the Joker. When he's aggressive, they different. What's it look like? We saw last night against Portland. Just a couple of your thoughts before we wrap up the segment.
They have no answer for their front line. It's as simple as that. Jokic had 37, 9, and 6. Millsap had 19, 6, and 3. Portland's front court, Canada had 26 and 7. Al-Farouq Aminu, 2 and 8. Denver's out front court outscored Portland's 56 to 28. That ain't gonna do it. And the thing is, they ain't gonna do what he do.
Yep.
Yeah,
People underestimate Denver's depth because they're young and they don't really watch basketball. They just go off what's being pumped out there. They have 6 serious guards that Dame and CJ have to deal with on both ends. They have Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, Torrey Craig, Malik Beasley, Will Barton, and Monte Morris, who all stand between 6'3", 6'7". So they don't have any advantages at any point when those guys, and they have to deal with them on both ends, meaning those guys can guard and they can score. So you don't really get any time to just breathe. So with those two having to do with that, there are other guys like Mo Harkless. He can't guard none of he can't guard those two. I don't care how much heart you had, their size and everything. They put him in foul trouble. He went to the bench early. So this is where they miss Nurkic.
Yeah.
This is where they miss him big time. So they're going to figure something out. It's going to be a short series because right now that front court is like we going to eat.
Yeah, I don't really see that changing anytime soon.
And also, my fault, the turnover battle, Portland turned it over 18 times and it led to 23 points for Denver. Denver turned it over 12 times, which only led to 6 points for Portland. Portland, when you under man like that and you dealing with a monster, you can't give them extra opportunities, and especially on the road. So they know that, Dame and them know that. So, we're going to see that, and CJ got to play better. He can't be the 20 points here, 14 points. Nah, dog, you got to be consistently 25 every game for them to have a chance.
Yeah, and the other thing is the scariest part about this is you just gave the young team a whole lot of confidence in the first game of the series. They just got out a 7-game series, right? So, like, for both Portland and Houston, you drop huge game ones. Like you had Denver coming out of 7-game series. Golden State went to 6. Golden State maybe had 48 hours. No complaints from them or whatever. But you were in the Bay. You said you wanted that team, whatever. On a platter, that's what happened. All right, Toronto and Philly, it's 1-1. We saw Kawhi go crazy game 1.
Kawhi go crazy.
Jimmy, big time response last night for Philly as they even up their series. That matchup is going to be very fun. But at least for me, I just really feel like whichever team is able to impose their will defensively each game, that's really going to be the barometer. But it's going to be a fun matchup.
Definitely going to be a fun matchup. I think this is possibly. I feel like all the series are close, but I feel like this one is like, to me, the closest as far as teams. Like I feel like they kind of match up well. I feel like Ben Simmons is going to be like, he got to be on one. He can't be scared. He can't be scared of anything going on in this season. In this series, I feel like he's going to be like the Achilles heel for them. If he has a good game, they can all kind of feed off of that because he has to primarily deal with Kawhi. So he has to not be scared of him on either side of the court and be able to, impose his will and play like he's supposed to play. But Kawhi is just an animal right now. Like, it's kind of hard to even put it into words, but he does. And he does it so, it just looks so easy to me sometimes. Like when he plays, it just looks like it's natural for him. Like he plays in the flow of the game. He doesn't do extra stuff. He doesn't, play outside of his game, play outside of the team's plan. So I think it's going to be a good series. I'm still wanting to see how Kyle is going to keep coming through because I think he's still going to be an important part because, they're going to eventually start game planning for Kawhi more. If they haven't already, and if they've tried, they're going to try something else, hopefully, because it's going to be a tough battle for them.
Cardell?
Kawhi doing what he's doing because he studied the book of Jordan. It's just simple as that. You could just tell how they attacking in the mid range, getting to the spot, high post, low post, turning, shooting, one dribble pull-ups. 2 dribble pull-ups, going left, going right, pump faking, going to the post, scoring inside, using his defense to create opportunities. And, he's following the Go blueprint, and he has the ability to do that. So, he's shining. But to me, the series coming down to bench play. Toronto won the first game. Obviously Kawhi had a monster game, but their bench played well. Last game, the bench was dominated by the Sixers bench. Sixers bench outscored Toronto's bench 26-5. And that's with the Sixers turning the ball over 19 times. And it was a close game. That's why I'm saying, honestly, it's not that close at Toronto's bench. Like, man, they got nothing out of Powell, Van Vliet, none of those guys. It was just really Kawhi and Sean Pascal doing what he got, doing the damage. So, and that's alarming for being at home in game 2. But you got to credit, like you said, the defense or whatnot. But I just think they kind of they got frustrated. He was missing shots, and Philly uglied up the game, and then they was getting frustrated, and they got out their mind. The bench kind of just mentally checked out a little bit. But that's what it's coming to. Like, if that's going to continue, it's going to be a short series, because I'm sorry, like the Toronto starters, they can't overcome that. Even with Kawhi and Pascal doing what they're doing, they can't overcome a 26-5 type of gap from the bench. That's just no team. I mean,
not in the playoffs either.
I mean, only the Warriors can, because they got the nuclear weapons in the starting lineup. They can go off from 30 to 60. Yeah. So, but even then, it's tough. So their bench have to play better, and they got to rebound better, man. Like, they kind of play soft to me, the Raptors. The Sixers dominated on 53-36 on the board. So, it is what it is, man. It's just, they come to play, they be back in the mix.
All right. On to our new segment this week. AAU, Cardell, what you got for us?
All right, we starting a new segment, trying to highlight standouts each week on the AAU circuit. We have so many teams and players with so much talent that's doing a lot of damage each summer with great coaching, great programs, summer in, summer out, that they need to be highlighted more, and it's too tough to just be up here, in our segment trying to go down all the, every team or whatnot. So we're just gonna go stick with, standout players and go from there every week. We're gonna start with the boys. On the boys' side, I want to highlight Earl Timberlake, plays for Team Durant, plays at DeMatha, going to his senior year. 6'6", 215 in the class of 2020. He led Team Durant to a 3-1 record in Session 1 of Nike UYBL, and just kicked off this weekend down in Atlanta, including an 86-78 win over EYBL defending champs and local powerhouse Team Takeover, who's pretty much the standard for AAU basketball right now. Timberlake averaged a team leading 18 points, 6.8 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 1.2 blocks on 51% shooting from the field. I always loved this game. At DeMatha, Mike Jones kind of run a system similar to what we see with the Warriors. Like, they have so many weapons. It's just an unselfish style with a emotion offense where they look to, kind of, eat off of Hunter Dickinson, their 7-footer, who actually plays for Team Takeover. And, it's his passing ability, which I love. He's teaching them how to play basketball. So when they get to the next level, they fit in easily. You know what I'm saying? So, but on the AAU circuit, he can kind of get loose more. He's out of the box using his athleticism, getting in, do what he does best, getting out in transition, slashing to the basket. And when he's doing that, combined with his defense and rebounding, it seems like his jumper just start falling. He's one of those guys. And, when he got it all, when it's all clicking, when he's hitting his jumper from mid-range and three-point range, it's ugly. It's a problem, because he's always aggressive and, super athletic, always has, man, and, got great size. So, he definitely dominated, did his thing. On the girls' side, we're going to go with Angel Reese from Team Takeover. Plays for St. Francis, 6'3". She's in the 2020 class. To me, she's the best player in her class in the country. Despite her size, she's a guard. She wants to play on the wing. She paddles a game after Kevin Durant. And, you can see the skill set. She led Team Takeover to a Session 1 championship on the girls' EYBL circuit. They went 6-0. She averaged 16.8 points, 8.2 rebounds, and 3.8 assists on 57% shooting from the field. Simply put, she has center size with guard skills, which means she always have an advantage somewhere. It's just a matter of her recognizing and exploiting it. She's a special talent. I'm just, seeing her game grow when she was from a freshman, seeing her when she came in about 6'2", there ain't nothing new with the size, and they kind of had her strictly in the post, to seeing her, grow to where now on the perimeter she's actually running point guard and sets. She's hitting threes. She's high post, low post. She's doing everything you kind of see what KD's doing. They utilizing her like that, which I love. Coaches that don't box players in, they can see that their game is, they have all these tools in their game, so we're going to utilize all those tools. Right. And she's putting it all together, and it's going to be scary, man. You know, honestly, I don't think she's the athlete that Candace Parker is, but that's how Candace was when she was in high school. Just that size and having that skill set, even to this day, you know, it's scary. She's in that mode, so I kind of see, you know, her kind of being that type of player as she moves on. The team spotlight, obviously team takeover. I'm gonna stick with the girls, going 6-0. And they beat the undefeated Boo Williams. The host team beat the undefeated Boo Williams team in Session 1 in the championship, 73-58. So, you know, both those teams, shout out to both those players and those teams. We're going to keep an eye on everybody, and every week bring somebody new.
Man, so I know AAU players going to be looking forward to that each and every week.
Yeah, why not? More shine.
Gotta love that, right?
Yeah.
All right, so on to the 9-4-50 breakdown with Jamal Hayward. This week, something, you know, most people should be kind of familiar with. It's a breakdown of Kobe Bryant pump fake spin away shot. Again, it's a breakdown of Kobe being Bryant, pump fake, spin away shot. Right after that, take a quick break. When we come back from that, got a little bit of DC United, a little bit of rapid fire, and I'm going to close things down.
Before, you were doing this.
Yes.
Now, you're here.
Okay.
Open up. Right left.
Which foot am I spinning on? That was like, I like that.
So here. Open up. Right left. Pivot off the right foot. Okay?
Okay.
So when you're here, right left. Before, you were doing this.
Yes.
Now, you're here.
Okay.
Open up. Right left.
Which foot am I spinning on? That was like, I like that.
So here. Open up. Right left. Pivot off the right foot. Okay?
Okay.
So when you're here, right left.
Welcome back to the Focus TV. Again, shout out to Jamal Hayward. Appreciate him each and every week supplying us with content for the 9-4-50 breakdown. All right, with DC United, it was a long week for the Black and Red. They started with a loss at home last Sunday, 2-0 at the hands of NYCFC. Wednesday, they traveled to Columbus to take on the Crew, and a Wayne Rooney free kick was the difference in the 1-0 win. On Sunday, again on the road, they stayed away between games. They went to Minnesota and they lost 1-0. It was a late goal, but there was a bit of controversy as a DC United goal in the first half, one that would have been the first career goal for homegrown rookie defenseman Donovan Pines was taken away because the official, after video review, determined that Frederick Briant was making contact with the Minnesota keeper, allegedly keeping him from getting off the ground to contest the header. But Donovan Pines was on a different level. He's 6'5" with dumb bounce, and no disrespect to that keeper. You weren't touching that ball. You weren't getting up there for that. But the rule is the rule. The referee made the call that he made, and DC United's goal was taken off the board. But late in the game, Angelo Rodriguez beat Donovan Pines to the near post. He redirected a very hopeful cross into the box past Bill Meade. DC United doesn't get much time to rest. They short turnaround, get some days off, but they host Columbus Saturday night, 8 p.m. at Audi Field. All right, Cardell, rapid fire. What you got for us?
First things first, the Wizards. Starting with local news, as everyone know, they're looking for possibly a new GM. Maybe they're just letting it flow and see what it is. among the names being considered outside of Tommy Shepard, who's the interim GM. They're looking at Danny Ferry, who's with the Hawks. Houston's executive vice president of basketball operation, Gerson Roses, and a local guy who, we had his brother on the show not too long ago, Tim Connolly from the Denver Nuggets, who's actually the GM of the Denver Nuggets right now. So, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think they should just stay put and give Tommy Shepard, who's well respected around the league, let him get his first opportunity at the GM job, or should they look among these four? What do y'all think?
Octavia?
I always think it's a good idea to kind of go with who you already have. They already know, your scheme. If that's still the direction that you want to go in, you just want to execute it better. I can see that. But I still always say, it's no harm in looking. I feel like maybe they should, keep their interim now, just because if they feel like this season coming up is going to be kind of a rebuilding season, because, John Wall's still out to who knows when, and what are they going to do going forward? Like, what's their plan? If they still feel like they want to stay with the plan they have and see how it works out, I can see them keeping the GM as an interim. But I think it depends on, how well they do in the draft, what type of plans they got coming forward to see, other players to bring in, and kind of get an idea of what they want to do next year. If that's not the direction that they want to go in, I think they need to switch it up, because at this point, they've been doing the same thing for the past few years with the same results. So I always feel like a good shakeup is going to help too.
I respect Tommy Shepard, and if they do make that decision, that's fine. I hope he does a great job. I am under the Connolly. That's where I would like them to go. The reason being, we just sat here in our earlier NBA segment talking about the depth of a very, very young team, right? And that depth is comprised of second-round picks, undrafted players. It wasn't a bunch of top-tier guys that defines Denver depth. And what I like about that means that you know how to identify talent and you can see how it fits, which means you could possibly, for the first time, we can see a quality team built around that special backcourt that you have. And that's why I'm, again, all respect to Tommy Shepard, I'm kind of under the Connolly thing. I would like them to kind of just wait, at least, wait till Denver's done, bring him in, and go from there. But go ahead, Cardell.
I'm looking at it like I would honestly give Tommy a shot, because obviously there's a disconnect between him and Ernie.
Yep.
And no matter what you evaluate, it's still up to the GM. You can tell him draft Michael Jordan. If he want to draft Mel Turpin, that's what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? You gotta take the L with it. That's just how I go. But obviously, big fan of what Tim Connolly has done at Denver. My thing is, why would he leave that when it's just beginning? So I don't think I know it's hometown, but look, they just starting to run. And what people also not acknowledging, it's going to get worse because they got Michael Porter getting them ready. And they saw what Trae Young did. There's a reason why Michael Porter was better than him coming out. He was the number one guy. He just had back issues. And now that he had time to chill, heal, get ready, it's going to get ugly. So that's even more front court depth that's coming, a guy that could play the 3-4. So if I'm him, why would I leave that, that I built? Let's see if we could take this all the way to the championship, get a ring, be the first one to, since David Thompson to win something and all that. But so that remains that. Out of these three, I'm like, Roses and Danny Ferry, you might as well keep it in-house. Keep somebody here that knows what's going on and, is respected. Because if you look at his resume, he actually has had success with his evaluation of talent. But like I said, he had an answer to somebody.
Right.
So you could tell them all you want. The guy that's no longer here made that final decision. You got to roll with it. And also, I like the connection with his ability to possibly build a team with what Scott Brooks does best, and that's develop players. People forget he was the head coach that drafted, Westbrook and Harden. I know KD's a special case. Ibaka, nobody knew who the hell he was outside basketball circles. He drafted Jeff Green. He drafted a lot of these guys that became standout guys, MVP candidates, when nobody else saw it. And he helped develop that. So he was the foundation for that. So I'm like, The truth be told, and I heard Jalen Rose say this: the Wizards are not as far off as people think. People just emotional. A couple good draft picks, like think about it. Well, if they get the number 1 pick, get Zion, all of a sudden, all that little dark and gloomy stuff, everybody. So and that's what the draft is for. You know what I'm saying? And then you be smart with who you bring back and re-sign, and who you let go, who you possibly can trade. And then you also got to look at the fact they just started the G League team. So if you bring in another GM and everything, there's a chance they could blow up that whole staff and everything. You just getting started. It's so much work to rebuild that. So I would like to see Tommy get a chance to prove himself. And if it don't work, because I just can't see Tim leaving that. Man.
Right.
That's something beautiful being built, and it's young. It's right. It's just starting. So why leave that? I mean, I understand the hometown pool, but man, I got something special right here. So
I'm not mad at you at all. Those are out of those 4. Like I only see 2 choices. I don't like the other 2.
Exactly.
So
I like it. Man, no disrespect to Rose.
Yeah.
I don't,
no disrespect. I don't want anything out of Houston. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, you don't need.
Like I'm just.
And I understand Danny Ferry did the math, the pool,
I
and
don't
all
want
that,
that
but
either.
I mean, I'm with it. I know. I'm with you. I'm just.
So we're both right there. Okay. So,
it's either Connolly or keeping that house.
So for us, it's just a preference. Which one? But pretty much we're both on board with the 2.
Yeah.
For us, it's 2 out of the 4. One last question tonight.
Dame Lillard. He said after last night, the Blazers drawing at the refs was a sign of a distraction within the team.
Mm-hmm.
They did a lot of that last night, which was uncharacteristic because they didn't do that in the first round. What is your take on him acknowledging that about the team after their loss?
I think it's a good take. It's a good observation because he noticed that was the difference. And like you said, like they didn't do that in the first round. I think that I always go back to the mental. I think it all goes back to these past 2 seasons being swept in the first round, finally getting over the hump. And I think that first game kind of hit them like, man, we finally got here. We got to do this. And then they just kind of fall back on, bad practices about, worrying about what the refs is doing instead of worrying about what y'all need to be doing to win the game. So that is a distraction when instead of you make a play or whatever and you think you get fouled, and instead of getting back to continue playing the game, you're sitting there yelling at the refs when your man is one getting back and scoring. So it's like a domino effect within the game. So hopefully him saying it, puts that in perspective for his teammates as well to know like, okay, guys, we worked so hard to get here, but we got to do what we did to get here, to stay here and to move forward. So hopefully, his teammate takes it in the positive way. You don't want people to feel like he called out his teammates or anything like that. I don't think they will. Hopefully they come back tomorrow, and they play tomorrow with a better headspace.
Just a leader speaking up. We talked about something a little earlier, off wax about a member of the Blazers with this whole distraction things. I find that interesting. It's part of rapid fire, but he's just being a leader that he's always been for that team. I think he's right to voice it. And it's true. We can see it. They were the more poised team in the first round, and now they're looking kind of sort of like the team that they beat in the first round, whining and worrying about everything but what's on the court.
And what usually comes with you not being poised is you getting your butt kicked.
Yep.
It's just simple as that, and that's what was happening. And when you get dominated up front, that's physicality. I know Jokic is skilled, but he's still a big boy. You know what I'm saying? So their front court is feeling that. You know what I'm saying? Then you got to also look at Dame. When you a guard, you running around screens and stuff like that. You feeling it too. You're not getting called. You getting your butt kicked. You losing. You getting frustrated. And you got to admit, they beat OKC 4-1, so they haven't even lost that much in the playoffs. So this is the second time they lost. So they just like, it's back to the drawing board, and they got their butts kicked. So, and they didn't play well themselves. So he's right. He's just being the leader, like in his way. We all got to chill the hell out and get back to what we do, stay focused and stuff.
Yep.
You on the road, you're not gonna get that many calls. Just play basketball, it'll work out. And the more poised team usually wins because you staying locked in, and the refs respect that.
Yep, and I think the other thing, when we were talking earlier in the segment, talking about the depth Denver has, is different type of defenders on them now. It's not like, as a guard, we get a big switch on you. Yeah, you got to worry about their length, but you usually got that advantage over a bigger player. They got to come down to your level. With Denver, man, these are dudes that can stay in front of you now a little bit more.
And they're fresh.
Yep.
And he can just pick and choose. He can play. Barton, go get Dame real quick.
And they can
You
just
know,
wear
Gary
it
Harris,
down,
you know,
different
CJ.
bodies,
Yeah.
length, and
Because for a second there, Gary Harris was in CJ.
Yup.
He had him on the back of a milk carton. So, you know, that's what it is, man. You know, and then on top of that, you got to guard them, and they getting off a little bit. You feel it, especially for Portland, where so much of their success is based on how their backcourt play. You know, they can't afford to have
you
any
wanna know
injuries.
what really hurts them so much in this series? Not having a third dude that can handle the ball, where them two dudes can come off the ball a little bit. Because now they're like Denver's able to key in on them.
I mean, they do.
lot more,
Like Curry can do that, but they throwing bodies at him the same way they gonna do things. Like when he comes in, they go 3-guard lineup. They're so small.
Yeah, I guess I meant like specifically on the wing, like a bigger player to take some pressure off it. Like their wings are kind of limited to a degree. Outside of Rodney, nobody could really put the ball on the floor.
And I think that's what I'm saying. Rodney, he had a good game. I think he's gonna have to play more. I think then that's called coaching. That's adjustment. That's playoffs. And he might even have to get in the starting lineup just to, you know, keep him at
Jumpstart the
bay.
game, yeah.
Because like from a defense standpoint, you can key on them too. Like you can, you know, Aminu and some other guys, not to knock them, but they're limited a little bit offensively. You know, you can sag off and get back.
No,
Kind
they
of can be where
They can't create.
Yeah,
They
they're gonna be
either
where
shoot
they're at.
or dunk.
Yeah. So, as always, want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of The Focus. We'll see you guys next week, same time, same place. Gonna have some listings content for you since it's media day next Monday.
At that time.
And, you know, we're officially here. But we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.